Being dead is no longer an excuse to call into work. We take that to be like the baseline theme of Severance, then the theories that come out of that seem to be like the most reasonable. Two things. I don't think it's cloning per se, but I do think it's genetic experimentation. You know, Lumen is trying to get the perfect balance of the four tempers, right? Woe, frolic, malice, and dread. The goats could be the animal test subjects for trying to perfect that balance. We also know that Lumen would have access to Mark S's DNA as well as Miss Casey/Gemma's DNA. Macro data refinement is working to come up with an equation without them realizing it for a perfect balance of the tempers, which is then experimented on the goats. And Mrs. Wong is a petri dish baby of Mark S. and Miss Casey/Gemma. And no, I don't think Gemma is dead. I don't think Miss Casey is a clone. Because remember the pregnant bitch from season 1 who severs only like her pregnancy and labor? I think it's possible that Miss Casey is the mother of Miss Wong, who is the perfected version of the four tempers. And if we overlay this with the narrative of Severance being a retelling of the great god of Pan mythology, then the goats are a sacrifice, but they're not a literal sacrifice. They are like a virtual sacrifice in service of Lumen perfecting the four tempers so that it can create a workforce that can clock in and clock out whether or not the person is dead or not. And Mark S., Gemma, and Miss Wong are, from a DNA perspective, the beta test. Can you take the DNA of two severed employees with perfected tempers and create a child in a petri dish that grows up to be the perfect laborer? And back to the great god of Pan theory. In the novel's mythology, Pan grapes a woman named Mary. Christological motifs, okay, right there. And she gives birth to a daughter named Helen, Helly, who then goes on to unleash havoc on a small town. We know, obviously, Helly has already begun to unleash havoc on Lumen by what happened in the season 1 finale. Just like in the novel's mythology, there is themes of fertility, of immaculate conception, but they're bastardized versions because obviously Lumen is trying to create a race of perfect laborers. Like the waffle parties and the like jazz dance parties are like these little mini Dionysian orgies. And Cobell is like this quasi-Mary character because she's been graped by Lumen in the sense that she's a true believer who they've turned their back on. Also, we have to talk about the Kier blackface and the get out of it all between Seth and Natalie. That was brilliant. We need Emmys. Oh my God.